Networking and marketing made simple is for you, the business owner who has a product, a service, or a message that you believe in. My name is Scott Aaron, and each week we'll take a behind-the-scenes look into the real-world marketing and networking tactics and strategies for getting what you have in front of you to a lot more people. Thanks for spending time with me, and now let's get started. Hey, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Networking and Marketing Made Simple. Super excited for today's episode for a number of reasons. Number one, I love having friends come on here to share their story and all the things that they're doing. But also, I love these interview episodes, and I know all of you do as well. You ask for more of them, so obviously I'm going to deliver that. And I have my good friend, Heather Lee Chapman, with me today. She is a self and business mastery coach. And what I love about what Heather does is more of the inner work that needs to be done in order to really master the skills that we all have. Every single one of us has a gift inside, and it's about really mastering those gifts so you can share them with other people to really step into that greater side of what we can accomplish in life and in business. So with that being said, Heather, welcome to today's episode.
Well, thank you so much for having on the show. I'm so grateful to be here with you to share my energy and knowledge with yourself and all your guests.
Well, we're grateful to have you here. So before we dive into obviously the construct of self-mastery and business mastery, tell the audience a little bit about who Heather Lee Chapman is. But more importantly, what do you feel was that catalytic moment for you that has set you on this path that you're on through life and in business that has led you to what you're doing today?
Absolutely. So I've been studying human potential and performance for over 15 years. And I've been an entrepreneur, successful entrepreneur and coach for over 11 years. And, I watched my mother lose her job just as I was going to university, which then almost made it not possible for me to go and all the things. So I just remember that thinking that's never going to happen to me. No one is ever going to be in control of my money or what I'm worth. I will be an entrepreneur. And my grandfather was a successful entrepreneur and always taught me, you'll never get rich from your wages. Heather, you're never going to get rich from your wages. And he taught me that the biggest mistake he made in business is he didn't scale big enough. So that then he was still stuck in doing a lot of the work and trade your time for money. He said if he could go back, he would have scaled it so that it ran like a well-oiled machine with and without him. So that really led me on my entrepreneur journey. And I had a lot of health issues when I was younger. Died multiple times at birth. Was in a study at 12 at UFT to try to figure out what was going on because the doctors couldn't help. And I then ended up studying human kinetics so that I could study the body and understand more, and minored in psychology and biology. And then went and I was quite ill after university because 4 years could take a toll on you. So I dove into alternative nutrition because, again, my doctor was like, well, you're the healthiest person I'm going to see all day. I don't know what I could do for you. And I thought, if this is quality of life, I try not to swear, but what the heck? So I said there had to be, this can't be the only answer. There has to be more. So I ended up studying at an alternative nutrition school. And luckily, while I was there, I had multiple concussions. So then it led me to start studying in brain injuries and cognitive function and how the brain functioned. And so that led me from an injury rehab specialist into a nutritionist into a brain and spinal cord injury specialist. So I became a life skills coach and nutritionist for brain and spinal cord injuries, and absolutely loved it. It was the most rewarding work I've ever done. You're literally giving people their life back. Like literally, some just most rewarding work. So grateful. And during that time, I had amazing mentors. I learned so much about the brain and body. I became an incredible coach because it's really great and easy. I've coached tons of high performers. That's actually quite easy. compared to coaching someone who's acquired a brain injury. So that really improved my coaching skills. And then I had a disc injury, a back injury, and I was looking for some healing, and I'd done all the, traditional, and again, never got me to the result I was looking for. And I was not willing to accept that as a quality of life. So I started studying advanced spiritual training and natural healing modalities, and really how can people, I hear people have spontaneous remission. What is this thing we talk about, and how do I dive more into this? And so I started studying theta healing. And in 3 days through theta healing meditation, I was back in the gym doing weights that I hadn't been able to do in 3 years. I was back running pain-free, which I hadn't been able to do in 3 years. And that really took a pivotal moment in my life when it had me start to think that there's so much more that we don't know. My mom's always been teaching me about the metaphysical, but it wasn't really till that moment that I went, there's so much more that we need to learn. And I really dove into studying human potential and performance on all levels. I've studied basically all of Bob Proctor's programs. I was in his master class. I've studied NLP. I'm about to go in to do my master practitioner designation. I've done the theta healing, all the things so that people can actually master self, because we are our own glass ceiling. And so every time I tried to break my own glass ceiling in business and break the 6-figure level, I had trauma ensue and chaos ensue in my life. And I was wondering why this kept happening. Now I understand the process of transformation that people have to go through. And unless we rewrite our limiting belief systems, our unconscious programming, then we will never surpass that limit that we set for ourselves that we don't know we set for ourselves. So every time I tried to pass it, I had to come back to where I was. And in order to do that, there was always a car accident or a concussion or a trauma. And so that really led me to see, and it's really amazing now that you're so aware of it, I can see everyone really ready to break their glass ceiling, go through the transition, change, and reach the next best version of themselves, but they never make it. And why? And that impacts their life, their business, their relationships, their health, all the things. It's because they have a limiting belief. You have an operating system. So in physiology, we have homeostasis. So our homeostasis tells our body if we're cold, we shiver to warm ourselves up. If we're hot, we sweat to cool ourselves down. We have psychocybernetics, which is the operating system of your self-concept. And so if your self-concept is, I'm a $60,000 income earner, not a 7-figure income earner, and you are trying to get to the 7, your psychocybernetics will always bring you back to that 6. And until you rewrite that limiting belief and you actually start to work with the unconscious programming and change that self-concept and do energy work, then it's just this chaos of like almost, thriving, and then, just making it. And then you're like almost thriving, and then you're just making it. And that's a painful way to live. I did that for quite some time. And I just really want to help people avoid that. And then when we're doing that, it's just like constant burnout, because all we're doing is trying to work harder. I literally worked 18-hour days. I had 3 contracts, 3 businesses, was healing from concussions, was healing from a disc injury, was volunteering at Landmark for the Self-Expression Leadership Program, mentoring 5 people there. And I had no more time left. I barely slept. I couldn't work harder. And then enter working with the metaphysical and start actually working with energy work and realize, we've talked about this, you don't have to do 18-hour days. Busy's not sexy anymore. Like, give that up. Actually start to do less, more intentionally, physically and metaphysically, and get larger results. And life is meant to be blissful, not so chaotic. And I really want to help conscious entrepreneurs who are ready to have a positive impact on this world, because my mission and what I'm up to is to help those entrepreneurs have quantum leaps and not go through a decade of chaos as I did, so that they can actually make the larger impact and quicker. Because I believe currently our world is run by global corporations that put profit over people. And I want to build conscious entrepreneurs that put people over profits. And when we live in the energy of service, we will be returned to in many ways. And so that's what I teach. And I'm really grateful to be able to mentor and coach so many conscious entrepreneurs that are building things, companies, programs, businesses that are literally birthing the new earth, making the old systems obsolete, the old school systems, the old coaching, old healthcare, like all of that. And we'll call it medical because it's not a healthcare system. But anyway, so really just so grateful to be able to do that. And I'm doing that now because my whole life, no one was able to quote unquote help me because we were only working in the physical, or we were only working with the medical system, not the nutrition. And I went on a mission to heal myself and help myself grow a business. I tried every website that seemed to have the answer. You just do this, buy this $20,000 funnel and you'll make millions of dollars. But they forgot to tell you, you have to generate leads to go to the funnel. Now you just have this expensive webpage, right? So I was tired of meeting all these people online who were like, we have the answer for you. But it was one thing. It was one component of this like marvelous business that needs to occur and all the things. And you just end up throwing spaghetti against the wall and hoping it sticks. So for me, it's the holistic approach in person and for the business, because we have to hit all areas of the business to truly have a balanced, harmonious business that grows with us.
What do you think it is about our own glass ceiling that people are afraid to break through?
It's uncomfortable. It's unfamiliar. There's no definite answer. It's so much quote unquote easier if you're an employee and you know your income's coming, you've got these holidays, you get these benefits. I read it in a book once. It's just like looking down the road and everything's laid out for you. But for an entrepreneur, you have to look down the road and around the corner, and you just have to have faith and burn the boats and just keep going until, you know, the result you have is there. And what most people aren't willing to do is go through the quote unquote failures, right? AKA finding out all the ways it doesn't work. They're not willing to face those limiting beliefs. They're also never given a roadmap. Like, you're not taught it in school. No one teaches you about your unconscious mind and that you're walking around like your 7-year-old self, and that you can't grow bigger than your environment. So maybe it's time to make some new friends. Like, no one teaches you these kinds of things. So I just think one of the things that has people stay at their glass ceiling is they just don't know. It's not common knowledge. And then it's unfamiliar and it's uncertain. And that is going to require a mindset and a willpower that no matter what, this is where I'm going. And so people haven't yet decided where they're going and are not connected enough to that, to willing to build a new path through the forest instead of taking the path everybody else is taking.
Now, I'm a big believer in the metaphysical and energy and all of those things. I mean, it goes back to when I started practicing self-development about 9.5 years ago. And I still, you know, read books and focus on all those things. What is it about the metaphysical that people really don't understand from a conceptual perspective of how important it is to really tune into that? And once you are tuned into it, how much it can actually change your life?
So from a scientific perspective, we are operating in the physical is only 0.4% of the universe that we operate in. The physical is only 0.4%. So wow. And 3.6% is the metaphysical we are operating in. So if you have 100% potential in that 4% and we're only using this much of it, it's going to be hard. Everything's so much harder. So it can be so much easier and so much more blissful if we begin to work with the metaphysical. Just because we don't know about it doesn't mean it doesn't exist. The same way, if I drop this, gravity happens. If we don't understand the law of attraction or the universal laws, it's the same way that nature operates. Right? The seasons follow each other. Everything happens perfectly and easily. Nothing is rushed. It just happens again and again and again. And that's the same way the laws in the universe operate. You're just not taught it in school. You just don't know what you don't know. And when you can begin to operate with the metaphysical, you actually can start to understand that you are literally co-creating with the universe, God, however you, spirit, source energy, creative energy, however you want to refer to the greater power, the other energy that we are tapped into. It's amazing what you can actually create. And so how I like to describe it is, energy is neither created nor destroyed, only transferred. I can tell you exactly where I was sitting in my biology class in second year of university when we went through that lesson. And I thought, wait a second. What do you mean energy is never destroyed? So we're all connected. So there is a morphogenic field that we are all connected to that we don't see, right? There's music all around me right now. And how do I tune into it? I change my radio station. How are we simultaneously on the internet where you're in one country, I'm in another country, and simultaneously, like at this very moment, when I'm speaking, it comes out on your end? How is that possible? Frequency, energy, metaphysical, quantum physics. We just don't know, and we aren't taught it, so we don't know how to operate and use it. So I like to say, imagine you're on a grid, a grid piece of paper. You're on that. You're part of that grid. And the universe doesn't care good, bad. It's your dominating energy and thoughts and frequency. That's what you attract back to you. So and that's the sad part, is most of the really good people in this world, they're so hard on themselves that they attract negativity just because that's their dominating thoughts. When they have so much potential, if they just did a little bit more self-love and believed in themselves and actually knew how the laws operated, they would love themselves more, they would believe in themselves more, they would have more positive dominating thoughts, they would generate new ideas, believe in possibility, be excited and enthusiastic about life, and they could literally create whatever they wanted. And when you're very aware and attuned and understand that you are co-creating with the universe, you will start to see how things show up in your life because of your past thoughts, feelings, and actions. So people think they woke up today as a free human being, but the truth is 98% of the day you're in a trance, 98%. And 90% of your thoughts, feelings, and actions are based on your unconscious programming. And what is in your unconscious, which they call the womb of creation, right? In your unconscious mind is the thoughts that you had yesterday. That's what planted in your unconscious mind to create today. So who are you being today? Are you being the person who feels sorry for themselves and is acting like a victim? Or are you going to be the person who owns it, who takes full responsibility, who doesn't make themselves bad and wrong and actually just goes, hey, you know what? Anything is possible. I see this showed up. Shit, that's not what I want. I really would prefer this. I'm going to focus my energy here. And I know if I just focus my energy here long enough, I can literally have it. And I've done this in an hour. Sometimes I'd be like, oh, you know what? It's time to increase the revenue, 20 grand today. Let's write a list of who can I serve? And then I will reach out to those people. And then just because I'm in inspired action, somebody else reaches out to me and says, hey, Heather, I'm looking for a coach. We haven't worked together in a while. Let's get started. I'll pay for a year in full. I'm like, great, done. But we have to know how the manifesting creation operation works. And it's ideas, thoughts, plan, and action. And most people miss ideas. They only have the same thoughts, which have them have the same feelings, which have them have the same plan, the same action, and they get more of the same. And they're stuck in this vicious cycle that they don't even know they're in. It's like rinse and repeat until they hit the grave. So it's time to pause, live in possibility, generate new ideas, and start co-creating with the universe and actually expect magic and miracles.
Thoughts that become ideas that are written down, and then you take action on those things that are written down, are the things that actually happen for you. And this is what Nancy and I do every single time we're launching a program or creating a program. We have whiteboards all over my office that have specific numbers written down, and we have tick marks, how many registrations do we want to get? And we slowly tick away, because our energy every day is focused on, if we want to get 100 registrations, we have 2.5 weeks to do it. These are the things that we need to do. And just like you said, yeah, I'm organically reach out to people to see if they'd be interested in coming to the workshop. And guess what? Someone else reaches out and say, hey, I saw the workshop. Can I register? Or, people saw it through our email. And before you know it, you've hit that goal, but then there's a sub goal. So we go a layer deeper. When we get those 100 people to register and it's leading into something bigger, how many of those 100 do you want to get into that program? So you write that number down and you start focusing on that metaphysical form of what you're looking to create. And I can attribute, Nancy would back me on this if she was on here, that a lot of what we've created and achieved is based on the energy that we're putting into those specific goals. And, sitting behind our screen right now is our happening board. And we basically have our business goal and the way that we're going to achieve it with, numeric equations of how it's going to be done, because then we can look at the equations and then we start with the end in mind. So if we know the end goal, then we can start to work backwards and create a systematic flow of how that can be done and what are the things that need to be put into place to make those things happen. But I want to go back to something that you said about, some of these things aren't taught in school. And I just want to kind of, get your opinion on this. What if the education systems started to realize that the traditional ways of business are starting to move away and we need to better prepare the future of our countries, giving them other things that they're going to need and utilize? Like, I mean, algebra and all the stuff that we learn, I don't know the last time I've used it. Again, I do obviously
cosine.
Basic math. I mean, we all use add, subtraction, division, multiplication. Like, that's never going to go away. Percentages, that's what it takes to run a business. But, when you start to think about entrepreneurship, what would happen if the education system, whether it's high school or university or college, what if they started to teach more of the spiritual side of business or entrepreneurship in general or the metaphysical? What do you feel would shift or happen if those things started to be put into place?
Well, we know that most of our beliefs are created before the age of 7. So if we started younger, which was so great because with my niece and nephew, we have, and it's amazing to watch them manifest and create. Like, my nephew had Bambi legs and now he's on the select team playing hockey, right? And it was just, he wrote it down. I'm going to be on the Leafs. This is what I'm doing. He put the plan into motion. I teach him how to reverse engineer. Okay, you want that. What do you need to do to be on the team? Okay, so what do you have to practice to get on that team? Okay, so when are you going to practice? And he gets out and he practices every day and he sets his goals and he knows what he needs to do. It's off season. He got hockey rollerblades practicing. It's actually teaching them a skill set that will last them a lifetime, that they can use in business, in life, in relationships. It's actually your fundamentals of success for, I like to call it, optimal human performance, right? And it's, it's harder to learn a language and it's harder to learn something new later in life. So if we actually teach them how to use the metaphysical, I remember my mom, I'm 17, trying to teach me the law of attraction, and it wasn't something I was taught at 8. And so I'm like, okay, Mom, you're crazy. I'm like, watch The Secret. What's that? Next thing I know, I watched it. I'm like, oh, that would be really cool if all that was true. Wouldn't that be magical? Life would be so much more fun because you actually get to create and you actually enter life then with so much more enthusiasm because anything is possible. And people would actually just be open to the possibility of generating new ideas, of creating new possibilities. And I think we would have so much more innovation. And on a positive side, for what's best for humanity, for the highest good of all of humanity, not just for a select few, we would actually see a transition. And if people actually understood how their unconscious mind worked and why they do the things that they do, and if they wanted something different, they don't have to walk around who their parents conditioned them to be because of who their parents were and what have you. You would actually create so much freedom. People would have way better relationships. I think humanity would be so much kinder and understanding. We would just have a better world. We would have better businesses. And entrepreneurship requires a different kind of mindset. It requires belief, faith, tenacity, persistence, resilience, leadership. And unless you gain those skills or someone helps you learn them, or you go out on your own or you're encouraged to, it's kind of just like follow the system, memorize stuff. The school system is not creating this skill set for foundation of success. Although they are very much improving, they are switching to things called like think tanks. I have a friend who teaches, and so she just did a course on how to teach math, and instead of memorizing, they actually give them a problem, and then they have all class to solve the problem, and they work in groups. And because they're saying like half the problem is kids just literally ignore the teacher, and there's no repercussions they're allowed to give them. And they just sit there on their phones, they're watching TikToks, and they're playing them in the classroom, disrupting the classroom. Like the school system's really not working right now. The kids that are in the school system are not engaged, they're not interested. And I mean, who wants to sit there and be lectured at for however long and then told to go home and memorize it? The questions are in the answers to the questions are back in the book, right? Like, so if you didn't learn it, you could hand it in anyway. So it's just the current system's just not working. I know they are improving it on because we learn through doing. And we also all learn different ways. So that person's a kinesthetic learner. You want them to sit quietly for 90 minutes, they checked out 2 minutes into the lecture, right? So I just think if we actually incorporate things like NLP, metaphysics, and spirituality, and we start to make that normal, like that's the norm. You're not trying to teach someone at 17 how to use the law of attraction, thinking their mom's lost their bonanzas. And we would have a better world. We would have better businesses. I took a business class in high school. There was one business class. And I think we learned how to use like Microsoft Word and stuff. Like I don't really recall learning a whole lot of things about business. Luckily, I could take an elective in university, which was an entrepreneurship class, which was very useful. And if we don't have the people to give us the model of the world, we're never going to create it because we can't create from what we don't know. And so I was blessed to have entrepreneurs in my model of the world, and an uncle who was a business consultant who could just give me free consultations when I needed to brainstorm about building my business. You don't have those masterminds in school, and there really isn't. They aren't teaching people how to build businesses. They are getting them ready to be rinse and repeat employees. Nothing wrong with that if that's what you want. Just to make clear on that. And we do need to have a system where we are helping entrepreneurs actually understand entrepreneurship, and a school system that actually helps people understand themselves, not just math.
Yeah, I agree with all that. And, you know, I definitely feel that the axis of the world is definitely tipping in a different direction. And the more that people talk about it and put it out there, and, you know, as younger generations get older and grow up with these types of things, you know, something that Nancy and I have done, you know, with my son from the time he was 2 years old. We always said things that we were grateful for. We still do it every single night. We go in, we tuck him in, and the three of us say 3 things that we're grateful for. And he's been doing that literally every night for the last almost 8 years. And that gets ingrained in someone's DNA. And again, there's a lot of external factors, you know, his circle of influence.
It changes their neurology as well. Yeah. It changes. So when he sees things in life, he will just literally look on the brighter side, because your brain is a muscle. And so that part of his brain is trained. Most people, their limbic system is super overworked. And every time they look at life, they come from a victim mentality of what's not working, what's wrong, poor me. But I mean, we've been conditioned for 2 years to be living in that, and your brain is working that way if you are paying attention to that. So you literally just set him up for success with the law of attraction and his neurology.
Yeah.
Like he's so blessed.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I can't wait to see, you know, who he becomes. And again, Nancy and I are going to be here for him to, you know, because he sees us working differently than a lot of other people. Now, before I get to my final question, I know you have an awesome workshop coming up, but also there are ways that people can get in touch with you online and on social media. So tell everyone a little bit about the workshop you have coming up, and if somebody not only wants to attend that, but find out some deeper work that you do and how they can connect with you, how they should go about doing that.
Absolutely. So our website is ownitempire.com. So own it empire, because I like to help people own it and build empires that are leaving positive impacts. So go to ownitempire.com, and on there under events, we always have our events that are happening. So we have our new Co-Creating at Its Best masterclass coming up. So I'm super excited for this and to bring this so that you can start to understand how to co-create, how to work with your brain, how to work with the metaphysics, and actually be an active participant in the results you're getting in your life and live life by design, because life is meant to be blissful. You can stop hitting your head really hard against that glass ceiling, and you can actually just take a hammer to it and create quantum leaps. And that's what we really want to help you do, because the more we raise our energy, it only takes 8% of the population to raise their frequency to have a dominating positive frequency. And that's what we're looking to do. So we want to help you bring more joy, more love, more light, more success, more profits, more impact into your life. And we're really looking to do that with our workshop. So we have the masterclass coming up, and you can always grab that free downloadable customizable habit tracker at ownitempire.com. And I always joke, ooh, habit tracker, so sexy, right? I know. And it will get results, because whatever we track improves. And if I actually had you write out all your current habits, it would give me a great bird's eye view into your results, because our limiting beliefs show up in our habits, and our habits actually create our results. So when we start to slowly work on one habit at a time and transform, we can truly own it. And I really want to help people like yourself who are conscious entrepreneurs increase your impact, increase your performance, and increase your profits, so you can truly live a life you designed, happy and fulfilled.
Awesome. And you guys heard it, ownitempire.com. That's where you can find out about the workshop and the free download. So that'll be in the description of the episode, so you guys don't have to go too far. So Heather, final question before we sign off. What does success truly mean to you?
Success means living my life on my own terms, because success is different to every single person. So to me, it's living my life the way that I want to. There's no regrets. People can look back and have judgments about anything I've done, but that's fine, because guess what? I did it my way. And I came here to live my life and nobody else's. And so did you. So everyone has their own definition of success. And when we truly can define how we want to live, financially, quality of life, the people we get to hang out with, what we get to do with our day-to-day life, because Bob Proctor says, whatever you're doing right now, you're trading your life for. So it better be worth you, right? So if you are doing something that fills your heart and soul, that you're trading your life for, and you're leaving that impact, and that is success to me.
Love that. Do the things that bring a smile to your face each and every day, and the whole world will be a better place. So Heather, thank you so much for coming on the show today and sharing all your wisdom and knowledge with my audience. I'm just grateful for you and everything that you shared. So thank you again so much for being here today.
Absolutely my pleasure. Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. So again, everyone, all the information, ownitempire.com, will be in the description of the episode, so you can find out about Heather's upcoming workshop and her free download. But also, wherever you're listening to this on, whether it's Google Podcasts, iTunes, Spotify, leave a rating and review. Let Heather and I know what you loved most about this episode. So everyone, please enjoy the rest of your days, and I'll talk to you next time. Bye, everyone. Thank you so much again for checking out today's episode. And if you are listening through iTunes, Spotify, wherever you are, please leave me a rating and review. Let me know what you loved, what you would like to see improved, or ideas you have for future episodes. And if you are interested in taking your business to the next level, don't hesitate to go to my website, www.scottaaron.net, where you can schedule a free discovery call with me, where I can learn more about you, your business, what you're struggling with, and how we can work together. And don't forget to check out my wife, Nancy, and mine, our free community on Facebook called LinkedIn Leads for Life. We would love to see you in there. Have a great rest of your day. And thank you everyone for your support. Grateful for each and every one of you.